Neil, how are you fixed this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we're still sort of betting the new guys in, but obviously it's been a good week, you know, in terms of getting the players who played a lot of the games a rest. So they look more like themselves today, quite fresh. We've got a couple of concerns, Camberry, Bartley, and obviously McGregor as well. So obviously they're three big players for us. But the rest of the squad's fine, so we'll give it 24 hours and see how they are.
What's their injury issues?
Flo's a knee. He's got a little bit of degeneration in the knee, which, you know, he's been playing with it, but it's not ideal. Darren's a knee problem as well, and Marv's a hamstring strain which he picked up and moved.
With Flo, he's had a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Is this getting to the stage where it might be a long-term concern? I
don't think it'll be a long-term concern at all. But it will need rest eventually, you know, because we know that he's not 100%, and he's not the type of guy to cry off either. It's not his way. So, you know, he's been playing through it a little bit. But again, we'll make that decision over the next day or so.
International break coming up, is that maybe perhaps if you can sort of massage him through until that period, that might give you that option?
That would be ideal, you know, in an ideal world, but it's obviously not an ideal world.
This is a different week for you, Neil. You've not had any midweek games.
It's been great. Although you missed the games, obviously being in Europe was fantastic for us, and I think for the experience for the players going forward, it's what you want. You know, they earned the right with the performances last year and the points total and finishing fourth. So we want more of the same. Now, we're playing a team on Saturday, you're well versed in that now, you know. Really consistent team, strong, really mentally strong as well. So we know it's going to be a real test.
How have you noticed your players progressing through this European campaign? Because there was three completely different types of tests.
Yeah.
You know, the Faroe side aside, the other two were real steps up, weren't they?
Yes, absolutely. Maybe not in terms of your Celtics and your Rangers and to a certain degree Aberdeens, but really tough tests at this stage of the season. You know, considering you're basically playing really important games immediately, and then sandwiched in between them is, you know, the start of the league campaign and obviously the League Cup last week. So good for the squad and good, like for the likes of Poaches, for example. Great experience for him, you know, the Mallins of this world, the Ollie Shaws, and you're wanting them to just take some of that experience in and hold on to it and use it for the domestic campaign that lies ahead.
Is that the big sort of carrot for the season ahead, as you can go, you've had a wee taste of this European football, all the sort of, you know, the pressure that comes with it, but I suppose the excitement that comes with it as well, use that as the sort of motivation for the rest of the campaign, make sure you're in it amongst that for next season as well?
I think so, yeah. I think, you know, I'm not sure we'll have amassed as many points this season as we did last, but I could be wrong. We'll have to factor in we've lost some good players, which, you know, again, you know, we lost McGinn, Craig Lafferty yesterday, you know, the important players, and other clubs like Derek's lost Kenny McLean, so we're probably all in the same boat, but we're looking at the minute to build again. It's very early on. People ask me what's your targets for the season. I won't know until the 31st of August really, and I'll have a fair idea of, you know, where we will be as a squad. So it's still sort of small steps at the minute, but obviously you try and hit the ground running as quickly as you can as well.
In terms of you looking to bring in players and use this club as an advert for them to sell it to them, is the way that John McGinn started down at Aston Villa useful for you? You can go, look, we've been able to help develop this guy in, he's going to get a big championship club and really hit the ground running. Perhaps we can do
I think John's a great example of what Hibernian can do for players, and we didn't bring him in on loan, we signed him, developed him, you know, under Stubbsy, under myself, under the people behind the scenes and with the players that played with him. And I watched him last night and he was outstanding, you know, so, you know, long may that continue. And yeah, we want to find more, you know, we want the Poaches and the Shaws of this world and the Mallins to develop into, you know, what John's become.
What are you hopeful of doing before next Friday?
Still looking to maybe add one or two and then maybe trim the squad a little bit as well. So not major surgery anymore. You know, we've got a vibrant squad and we've got options, but there's still to get up to speed. Milligan's not here yet, obviously, with the, providing the work permit, but we're very pleased to get that one done as well, and he will add to the strength and experience that we want to bring in.
Is it strength and depth that's the target, or is it quality guys to come in and make an impact first 11 type signings that you're
You want both, don't you? You want to have two for every position where they can just, seamlessly drop in and drop out again, but that takes a bit of time and a bit of work.
Is it easier to attract players to Hibernian, given the success of last season? When you look at Jimmy McLaren deciding to come back, O'Canderi decided to come back after the experience last year, and obviously I would imagine Jamie's spoken to
Millie?
his colleague. Yeah.
Easier? Yeah, I think so. Look, we're against the wall financially with the English clubs, but there's a good profile here, at a club like Hibs, and a good profile, in the top division in Scotland, and obviously that's been enhanced with the managers that are here, the Brendans, the Stephen Gerrards of this world, the McInneses. So I think it's easier now to attract players than it was maybe a year or two ago, which is all to do with the performances of last season. A lot of the players who haven't come back wanted to come back, but we couldn't, for one reason or another, get the deals done.
It looks, hopefully for Scottish football, Celtic and Rangers will progress in Europe. The fact that Hibs and Aberdeen are now out, Hearts no doubt will strengthen as well. Can you see there being more of a challenge at the top end of the table? And I know Celtic have got most money and the depth squad they have, and they'll probably strengthen as well. Rangers may well strengthen again. But clubs like Hibs and Aberdeen, they're not ready now to accept second spot. When I say they're not willing to accept being beaten by these teams.
I think it's too early to say if Celtic and Rangers are going to be the top two teams. There's obviously a significant improvement at Rangers. For me, it wasn't that major a job to do, on the back of what wasn't a great season for them last year. And they are investing, which is something that the likes of ourselves, Hearts, Aberdeen, can't do. But on any given day, any team can be beaten. I still think Celtic will, win the league. Whether the gap gets closer or not remains to be seen. But they're still, they're playing Champions League games. They're playing against the best teams in their country. And that sort of level of football stands them in good stead when they come back to domestic football. As for second place, you'd have to say Rangers would be firm favourites for that. But, I don't believe in the hype. There's a lot of hysteria around big clubs, and not just in Scotland, in England, elsewhere, and then you sit down and watch the games and you think, not so sure. So we just look to try and improve on last season if we can, but for us it'll be tough with the loss of McGinn and the fact that we probably did really, particularly the second half of the season, did brilliantly.
Can I ask you as well about, we're not even 2 games into the league campaign, and we've already lost one manager this season, Kenny Miller. Were you surprised at Kenny leaving so quickly?
I don't know the ins and outs of it. In terms of, I think...
It just tells you so how difficult it can be to manage. It's his first job.
It's a really difficult environment. And like I've said before, the Scottish clubs aren't, trigger happy either. It was always going to be difficult being a player manager, let alone a manager. So I'm not too sure. I don't know the ins and outs, but if assurances were kept that Kenny was given before he took the job on, so I can't comment on it. It's a shame, but with Kenny's reputation and stature in the game, I'm sure he won't be out of the game for too long.
Do you have a link with him as a player? Would you still be interested in him?
I'm always interested in a player like Kenny Miller. Always been a big fan of his for a long time. Before I played with him, when I played with him, after managing in Glasgow. Been a big admirer of him for Scotland as well. So whether he thinks he's got something to offer still, you never lose the brains, but the legs just start to go.
Possibly coming in?
It's not an area that we're looking to expand on really. I've got really good options in that area. So probably not.
In terms of Aberdeen, You mentioned there's a couple of guys that lost, Kenny McLean's, Ryan Christie's. Do you think they're, and how would you compare this season's team to last season? Are they stronger, are they weaker? How do you think they're balancing up so far?
Well, I think they did remarkably well against Burnley, you know, and it's too early to say, you know, how Aberdeen will go, but they've made a, you know, good start to the season, winning a draw just like ourselves, and we know we're in for a tough game. I mean, Derek always has good strikers in the building, good wide men in McKay, Stephen and McGinn, and defensively they're very, very solid. Lost McKenna, you know, they've kept clean sheets against St Mirren and Dundee so far, so he's got strength and depth in that area, but he's a very good manager, you know, and I think there's no secret to the fact that Sunderland wanted him, that Rangers wanted him, and they wanted him for a reason, because he's very good at what he does and he keeps doing it year after year.
These are the type of games that excite you just as much as like perhaps taking on those from too.
Absolutely. Like, I'm really enjoying my time here. All the games are exciting for me. In fact, I'm back in the dugout as well. I'm looking forward to that. But you know, we're looking forward to a big crowd again. Aberdeen will bring a few down, I'm sure, and you know, I probably would have preferred this game to be maybe 3 or 4 more games down the line, but yeah, I mean, the games last season were very, very good, very high calibre. I mean, they beat us soundly at Pittodrie, and they beat us here early on in the season when there wasn't much in the game, and then we had a very good victory in March, and then another tight game, so it wasn't much between the teams, and I expect more of the same tomorrow. Saturday.
So will this give you a sort of benchmark, a gauge of where your team's at if you can get this tomorrow?
No, it's too early to say. You know, our first half of the season was good last year, our second half of the season was fantastic. You know, so I'm hoping to have a really fantastic first half of the season and an even better one. So, you know, but I'm greedy. So no, there's no benchmarks. I think it's far too early for that. And we get caught up in all of that. You know, I'm looking at all the media about Mourinho, and I'm looking at all the media about Steve McLaren and Gary Rowett. It's way too early, you know, way too early. And 2 games into the season and people are doubting you, and you know, there's no benchmarks at this stage. Maybe after 7 or 8 games you get a picture of how the season's, or the first half of the season's going to go.